If you know only two things about me, it's that I'm really bad at getting videos out in a timely manner, and I love me some FromSoftware. Seriously, I've pretty much just renamed my PS4 Bloodborne machine because every time I sit down to even consider playing something else, it's just Bloodborne again. And since I have a 21-minute video that's been sitting in the back burner terrifying my editor Tanya like some sort of massive Cthulhu beast, I thought I'd put out something a bit more straightforward, which is basically just me gushing about the Elden Ring gameplay preview and what I really like about it. I love Dark Souls gameplay, atmosphere, theming, story, speculation, and outfits. I have since the moment I first tried the series on. In fact, before Sekiro came out, I was thinking about doing a video talking about the Buddhist theming that was buried inside of the various Souls games, mainly in how the fear of loss and the desire to avoid changes to the status quo ends up leading to despair and misery for not only yourself, but the people around you, and how the games explored these themes by using probably the most apt plot device you can imagine, bestowing literally the opposite of acceptance of change and reinforcement of the status quo on entire civilizations in the form of the actual curse of undeath. And then Sekiro came out, which pretty much made all of these themes extremely explicit by basically telling a similar story and making it explicitly Buddhist. So, strike two for this guy. So why am I talking so much about Dark Souls in a video that's supposed to be about Elden Ring? Well, for one, Elden Ring very much seems to be a continuation of the Dark Souls ethos of design, not the games itself. It has similar mechanics that made all these games popular, similar aesthetics in some ways, though this will become important to think about later. And I would also put the same sound effects in there, but that's judging on what is effectively a work in progress, and I don't know that those effects aren't just placeholders. But for two, and I think more importantly, it's going to highlight what I think I'm most excited for when it comes to Elden Ring, and that's how it's going to depart from the themes and atmosphere of Dark Souls in what I think will be a pretty major way. Bloodborne also had totally different theming, and frankly, so did Sekiro. It just felt like after everyone played Sekiro, they would have gone, yeah, I get it, to my observations about Dark Souls. Bloodborne is a cosmic mystery that explores lust, passion, fear, madness, and birth, and not the romantic ideals of birth, the nasty, gross, and bloody ones. Sekiro is just as much about finding meaning and identity and personal motivations and drive in a world where everyone is trying to take advantage of you as it is about how desire can destroy your entire life and make it worse for wear. So I don't mean to imply that Elden Ring is going to be the first major departure theming-wise From has done in their time making games with this successful series of mechanics, but Elden Ring really feels just as different to me as it does familiar and comfortable, and it's the change of pace that I'm probably the most excited for. Yeah, the magic looks frickin' amazing, and I'm praying that making Sekiro means that all that jumping and platforming they show off in the previews suggests that we're going to get run-in, jump-in, and climb-in button configurations that aren't a total freaking nightmare. But here's the major difference I think we're gonna see between Dark Souls and Elden Ring, the difference that's going to frame the entire experience of the game and ultimately give us a totally different experience than what we Soulsborne fans are used to. Dark Souls was a pre-apocalypse, while Elden Ring is a post-apocalypse. You know, that's reductive, and I can feel you typing your comments already, and you know what? No, I'm with you. I thought of about 50 different ways to word that, and that's the best that I could come up with. I think I'm just going to have to explain it in a totally different and more in-depth way. You see, Dark Souls from 1 to 3 is a journey through the dying days, years, decades, centuries of the Age of Fire. It's like Zeno's paradox of Achilles and a tortoise. In Achilles and the Tortoise, Zeno describes a race between the Greek hero Achilles and a fucking turtle. I don't don't know. Anyway, it's kind of a nonsense scenario, but it's a thought experiment more than an actual real thing that you have to imagine in your head. So you just gotta take it as it's written. What he describes is a 100-meter race, and the tortoise is given a head start on this race. Achilles has to wait until the tortoise has gone 50 meters, half the distance from the start of the race to the end of the race before he can start running. And then when he gets to the 50-meter mark, he has to stop once more until the tortoise has gone half the distance from there to the end, 25 more meters. And then this cycle, or function, if you will, repeats over and over again from 25 to 12 and a half to 6 and a quarter to 3 and an eighth to 1 and a blah blah blah, essentially forever. The idea is that this process gets really close to the finish line, but never quite gets there. This is the state of the world you play Dark Souls in. The finish line in this context is the end of the Age of Fire and the beginning of the Age of Dark. Given the state of the world at the beginning of Dark Souls 3, it can be assumed that in both 1 and 2, and all the other times this cycle has happened in the thousands of cycles leading up to the third game, this race has been restarted and moved back over and over and over again as the fire is linked with the souls of powerful individuals over and over again. The conclusion of Dark Souls 3 is up to you in the end, whether you complete it with the usurpation of the fire or if you start the cycle all over again. In any case, it's this finish line right here that, to me, is the apocalypse. It's the moment in which the old world finally dies and the new one begins. This is the cataclysm, the one that Gwyn gave everything to keep from happening. It drained all the life from the world, but it didn't go anywhere. People kept living forever, pulling the color from everything, the life, the purpose, it's just gone. But Elden Ring is so alive. There's grass, there's wind, there's light, there's trees, there's little Princess Mononoke style mountain goat mounts all hopping and skipping and running, there's rain, there's apparently undead looking guys too, but they don't really seem the same to me. They seem just like the kind of undead you find in worlds like the Elder Scrolls or whatever, just some skelly boys that you gotta kill because you're such a hero. There's a vibrance to everything, a color, but there's still ruins, remnants of a civilization that once was and isn't any longer. It reminds me a lot of Breath of the Wild. Civilization, with all its complexities, has crumbled to dust and ashes. Bodies fell by the bazillions, rotted, decomposed, left their bones, and fertilized the dirt. And life found a way to persevere, thrived even, and through it all, clusters of humanity persevere. Even the enemies, some of the bosses we've seen, just seem more alive than what we usually get with the Soulsy game. I mean, they look a little gross, sure, but I mean, that's how you know they're monsters, right? No, I didn't learn anything from Beauty and the Beast. Why do you ask? Isn't that the horror movie with the really handsome guy with chest hair who tries to rescue the girl and instead he gets murdered by some monster in his killer furniture? All I learned from that movie is that if you're off to rescue a pretty lady, you bring 2 guns. Where was I? Oh, right, Elden Ring. You see, Dark Souls was a world that was having all the heat sucked out of it as it clawed tooth and nail away from a black hole. It was able to slow its descent, but never able to escape entirely, and this refusal to die leaves the world in a constant state of gray, sullen depression. There's an oppressive dreariness to Dark Souls that, no joke, and I'm being totally serious here, makes it really dangerous for me to play this time of year. I have pretty decently strong seasonal affective disorder, and I am actually pretty depressed right now, and every time I put Dark Souls on when I feel like this, I do something super awesome, like, I don't know, not shower for a week. It's a dismal world with literally the opposite of hope in it. It's a world where, best case scenario, if the hero wins, you get to die, while your offspring have another decline of the Age of Fire to look forward to. A brief glimpse of contrived happiness before the entire world is drawn in even further, more painful painfully toward that end zone that it never quite reaches. It is so depressing. So you see what I mean by a pre-apocalypse? Maybe I should have said it's an apocalypse. It's 10,000 years of apocalypse. It's living on a dying planet that should have exploded years ago, but instead you get to watch it happen in slow motion. It sucks. Sure, societal structures have collapsed and weird new ones have cropped up, but I don't even think that's the be-all and end-all of an apocalypse. It's never quite finalized. There's little weird kings hiding everywhere, keeping stuff going, throwing wood on this bonfire so nobody at the party can go to sleep because they have to stay awake to watch it and make sure it doesn't cause a massive forest fire. Okay, that is not my best analogy, but moving on! Elden Ring, however, is just like the death of the past feels so final. New life, trees, animals have taken up residence in the bones of the previous society. I don't know, it's a world that was gonna die, died, and then stayed dead. And sure, maybe you're picking through the pieces and using them to deck yourself out in sexy armor, but there's no illusions about going back to the previous status quo. It is gone. You are living in a new world, a living one. And I don't know, it just seems nice. I like it. Pretty excited for it to come out. Ooh, and I'm also really excited for Replaced. It looks really good. It has all my favorite things in it. Cyberpunk robots, CRT monitors, pixel graphics mixed with modern rendering technology, magenta, scan lines, amazing looking fight mechanics, and a sexy trailer. And oh, how good was this cut? I love it so much, and I hope it's great, and I want it now! But I don't think anybody but me is this excited about it. This isn't an E3 React video since it was ages ago. I just didn't think I'd get an opportunity somewhere else to talk about how awesome that game looks, and this video needed a little bit of padding, and this is my channel and my video, and you can't stop me. And guess what? I didn't put a single period or comma in this sentence, and nobody died, so eat that, Mrs. Kaibowitz. It turned out grammar wasn't very important after all. Have you subscribed to our channel yet? You should if you haven't. I'm an exceptionally great YouTuber who manages to put out one video every few months instead of at a reasonable pace like everyone else. Wouldn't wanna miss that. Great sales pitch, Austin. You got them all on board. Good job, frickin' idiot. And just a quick note before those of you who say I didn't get a chance to get in on the Elden Ring open server test because I have been super sick for the past week. But yeah, so there's no footage from that because I didn't get in.